Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So one of the most important pieces of any home gym, garage gym, basement gym is a good rack. Now this one right here is a PR5000 V2 from Rep Fitness, and I made a video actually several months ago explaining why I sold my Rogue RML3 rack and purchased this one right here. So I want to kind of update you guys, give you guys a 6 months or 7 months update on this rack, some things I love, some things I dislike, and if I would buy it again or not, or if I would buy something else. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you find it helpful if you're looking for a new rack. One thing to be mindful of though is that these racks right now are very, very hard to come by. So if you find any rack that you kind of like and has good reviews, has a good reputation, I would say go ahead and pull the trigger, because right now, I mean, fitness equipment is still very, very scarce. So be mindful of that. If you find the PR4000 or the PR5000 in stock, I'm going to tell you guys right now, go ahead and purchase it. I'll leave a link in the description below for the PR5000 and any in-stock gym equipment from Rep. They've basically been restocking every day, just a few items here and there. So make sure to check it. If you're really desperate, check it a few times a day. And if you're kind of looking for something but you don't really need it, then probably look at least once a day or every other day and see if they have it in stock. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's get right into it. So basically a recap of why I got this rack. The first rack I ever bought was actually the Rogue RML3, and that was a much smaller rack, really small. But honestly, it was a great rack, you know what I mean? It was an amazing rack. It held up really well. It was just kind of small for my preferences, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to sell my Rogue RML3 and get a bigger, hopefully better rack. So I took a huge risk and sold my Rogue RML3 rack when basically every other rack was out of stock. And my hope was to either get the PR4000 or the PR5000 from Rep. Now, if you guys don't know, or if you're new to this channel, I am from Colorado. I do live in Colorado, so I don't have to pay any shipping. If I buy anything from Rep, I could just go and pick it up from their warehouse. And so that's why I really wanted to go with Rep Fitness. And you know, thankfully I was able to get this rack. And over the past few months, I've tried to abuse it. I've tried to you know, use it to the maximum and try to kind of bang it up a little bit here and there. And it's held up really well. And so I kind of want to give you guys just a few pointers about this rack, about the clear coat, about the you know, the red cross members, and just kind of how it holds up, and talk about the depth a little bit and all the other features. So this power rack, as you guys can see, has the clear coat, which I think looks absolutely amazing. Gives it a unique, very unique color to it, and very unique look that you don't really see or find at commercial gyms anywhere else. So I was really happy to get the clear coat. Now, there's no problems that I've had with the clear coat other than the fact that it does get scratched up a little bit for sure. So over the past few months, this is exactly where the J cup goes for squats. So you guys can kind of see the scratches right there, some scratches kind of everywhere else actually. And I mean, that's basically where the J cups go, and the safeties, the strap safeties. So it's definitely going to get scratched up, but hopefully over the next few years it doesn't get much worse than this. Hopefully it's just, you know, cosmetic or aesthetic damage, and not deeper than that. So it's not too big of a deal for me, but it is good to know that it's not completely scratch resistant. It will still get scratched up if you use it. Now, these red cross members that you guys see, there have been no scratches on them because I don't have any attachments on any of the cross members. Now let's talk about the depth. The depth of the rack is 41 inches, I believe. It's the deepest rack that you could get. And I'm really happy I went with a deep rack, because it gives you so much space to do whatever you want inside of your rack. Now, Rep Fitness also came out with something called ISO arms. And if you're not familiar with ISO arms, they're basically an attachment that hang from anywhere basically on your rack, and they're kind of like arms, and you could use them and it kind of, I feel like, replicates a Hammersmith machine, but it's a lot more versatile in my opinion than just a regular Hammersmith machine. So anyways, if you have a 41-inch rack, you could put the ISO arms actually inside of your rack, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you could attach it on the inside, and then you could have spotter arms also on the inside of your rack, so you could do some good work inside of your rack. Now, if your rack is a little bit smaller, 30 inches, or smaller than that, you're probably gonna have to attach the ISO arms outside and the spotter arms outside as well, which is completely fine. The benefits of having a smaller rack is that, of course, it saves space. So as you guys can see, this is a 1-car garage right here, and it sits in the middle. The rack sits, that's where I set it up, right in the middle. So that way I could attach 2 more posts, make this rack a 6-post rack. But as you guys can see, just the 4-post original rack takes up about half of the space in your 1-car garage. So keep that in mind. If you don't have a lot of space, or if you want to put a lot of things behind your rack or in front of your rack, you might want to go with a 30-inch rack or smaller. Now, in terms of appearance and aesthetics and how it looks, I think the PR5000 looks amazing. I think it's one of the best looking racks that you could get, especially with a clear coat or red or blue or whatever color you prefer. I love racks like that. It just gives you a unique and customized looking rack, and so you kind of could base your gym theme off of the color of your rack. But in terms of performance, it has been absolutely amazing. It's very stable. It's not wobbly at all. There's literally no wobble in the rack itself. It is really, really sturdy, you know what I mean? So when I rack, 400 pounds, 450, 475 on squats, it moves a little bit because I don't have it bolted to the ground, but it doesn't shake. It doesn't like wobble from the bolts or anything like that. The bolts are humongous. Now, the benefits of having a rack like this is, of course, the attachments. Now that's basically why I tried to go with a rack, a full power rack, instead of a squat rack, because you could have so many different attachments and you could basically customize the rack however you want. So make sure if you don't get a rep rack, you go with a rack or with a company that sells a lot of accessories for that rack as well, because you don't want to end up with a rack that you can't add any accessories, and the only thing you could do is basically our workouts with a barbell. So squat, bench, deadlift, or any other barbell exercises. You want to be able to add, for example, a cable machine, a lat and low row attachment, a belt squat, ISO arms, mono lifts, strap safeties, spotter arms, so many different attachments that you could put on a rep rack and Rogue racks, and those good high quality reputable companies, they sell so many different attachments for their rack. So make sure if you go with any kind of rack that they have accessories that you could build on later in the future. Now, one thing I do want to discuss and talk about are these strap safeties. Now, as you guys can see, I've got the strap safeties right here. I would say a few weeks ago, there were a lot of issues with the strap safeties. Many people were complaining about the strap safeties breaking, and I believe it was on this weld right here that a lot of people were having trouble with. So what I've personally done is I've dropped 315 pounds, I believe, from about a foot with these strap safeties, and they've held up well. And then I dropped about 495, I want to say, from maybe 2 or 3 inches. Not a huge drop, but there's no cracks in the strap safeties. There's no rips or tears, and it's held up pretty well. So from my experience, at least, I can say that these strap safeties hold up pretty well and are safe. Now, nonetheless, I still want to add some flip down safeties later on in the future. Those are a little bit more expensive, but it's definitely something to look forward to, just to add another safety right under those straps. Now, the reason why I say that is because I think safety is a huge key in terms of garage gyms, because most people are going to probably be working out by themselves. There's no gym staff or friends or bystanders that could look and see, oh man, this guy just tried to hit a squat and the bar fell under him and now he's unconscious, and there's no one around to help you, right? So strap safeties, flip down safeties, any kind of safety in a garage gym, in my opinion, has to be 100% reliable. And if it's not, it's always going to be on the back of your mind. So it's really, really important that a company has reputable safety measures on their racks, just in case something bad happens. Now, I basically went over most of the features of the rack. You could read all about it on their website if you're really curious about the specifications and the measurements and whatnot. to the inch. You could definitely look at it on their website, but in terms of my personal experience with this rack, it has been nothing but amazing. So I've been really happy with it. I'm probably gonna bolt it down soon, and then hopefully sometime in February, I'm gonna get a lat/low row attachment to hopefully do some cable exercises. So once that comes in, I will be sure to review it. But in terms of things that I dislike about it, or some things that I would change, or would I get something different, or basically comparison with the 4000 or a squat rack or something like that. In terms of things I dislike, the only thing I would say is just the scratch resistance of the clear coat. That's basically the only thing. Now in terms of the PR4000 versus PR5000, there's really no big difference. I mean, the biggest difference is just the weight capacity. This one has 1-inch bolts. The PR4000 have 5/8 inch bolts, so a little over half the size of the PR5000 bolts. But in terms of an average everyday lifter, you really shouldn't have any problems with the PR4000. Rev Fitness basically sells the same kinds of accessories for the PR4000 and the PR5000. And actually, originally I wanted to go with the PR4000, but they only had the PR5000 in stock. That was the earliest thing that I could get, was the PR5000. And so that's what I went with. But the benefit of having a PR4000 is it's obviously much cheaper than a PR5000 rack. And so if you're on a budget or kind of want to get something a little bit cheaper than a rack like this, I remember this costed me just under $1,300 for the whole rack. So that is of course expensive, but you know what? It's an investment that you kind of have to invest in. And so you could either get the PR4000, which would be amazing for most people, or get the PR5000, which has, you know, a few benefits. It's just basically more sturdy. It has those 2-inch gaps between each hole, but it has the same holes on the outside too, so you could attach attachments on the outside of the rack. The PR4000 has 1-inch spacing that the PR5000 V2 doesn't have, so keep that in mind. If the 1-inch west side spacing is very important to you, you might want to get a PR4000. Now, one thing that Rev Fitness did do is they made 2 different kinds of J-cups. Lower J-cups like this one, and then regular J-cups like this one right here. And so that gives you that kind of mimics actually the 1-inch spacing. Now in terms of getting a power rack versus a squat rack, that's 100% a personal preference, but for me, I would recommend trying to get a rack, because you could do everything that you can do in a squat rack in a power rack, but it's not vice versa. You can't do everything on a squat rack that you could do in a power rack, if that makes sense. Now, of course, most squat racks are gonna be cheaper than power racks. So if you're on a budget, or if you're going over budget with a power rack, then just go ahead, get a squat rack. You can still do a whole bunch of things with that. Now, a squat rack, of course, is a lot more mobile, and it's a lot smaller as well, so it takes up less footprint than a big power rack like this one. So also keep that in mind. It's 100% personal preference. If you're gonna add a whole bunch of accessories and attachments, then you more than likely want to get in a power rack like this. If you're just gonna use it for squats and bench, then just get a squat rack. If you're not gonna add any attachments in the future, or if a home gym is very temporary for you, just for this quarantine, then a squat rack I think would be your better option. It takes up less space and it's a lot cheaper. So that is it for today's video, man. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, leave it in the comment section below. At the end of the day, would I recommend this rack? Would I recommend any other kind of rack? I would 100% recommend this rack. The one downside of it is it's made in China. I know a lot of people dislike that, the fact that it's made in China. I know a lot of other companies like Rogue make their stuff in the United States. So if that's a huge concern for you, then you probably shouldn't go with Rep. But if you're okay with the fact that it's made in China, I would say the PR5000 V2 is an amazing rack for anybody looking for a power rack. There's so many different companies you could choose from nowadays. So if you find any kind of rack that's from a reputable company and you look up some good reviews on it, I would say go ahead, pull the trigger, because like I said in the beginning of the video, there's not a lot of options that are in stock right now. So if you guys click on the link in the description or in the comment section, and the PR5000 or the 4000 is in stock and you guys are interested in it, make sure to try to check out as quick as possible because this stuff sells out really quick. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here, I really would appreciate if you hit the subscribe button, and inshallah I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.